Hello and welcome back to the Rugby Social. I have just finished watching the Ireland-Wales game. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Great test match. Maybe from an Irish point of view, Ireland weren't totally flowing today and it wasn't one of their outstanding performances. But to be fair, it didn't need to be. I thought, the test match offered a lot from a neutral's point of view to enjoy. But yeah, please do let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I mean, from my perspective, Ireland started that game very well. Got off to two try start. The obligatory try from Dan Sheehan. He seems to score pretty much every game he plays in at the moment, and also James Lowe being worked in the corner. And in that sort of first 20, 30 minutes, I thought Wales looked really rattled. They looked overwhelmed and just didn't quite know where to go and how to get a foothold in the game. Ireland scrummaged really well, and really the only foothold Wales did manage to get was off the back of perhaps Ireland's line out not being as brilliant as it usually is. And in that first half, Ireland pretty much monstered all of the stats. They had most of the possession, they had most of the territory, and they were pretty dominant at the scrum as well. But then come the second half, Wales kind of sprung into life a little bit and really started to make a bit of an arm wrestle of that match. Although they were 17 points down, they sort of galvanised themselves. And I have to say the likes of Wainwright and Winnett really started to sort of take the game to Ireland. Winnett was catching some lovely ball, doing some nice kicking to compete, and making a bit of a nuisance of himself, to be honest. And Wainwright, I have to say, I really like Aaron Wainwright. I think he's a great player. Brings such ferocity in the carry, really builds up some speed and momentum and hits the line really hard. And also at the breakdown, he's just such a nuisance, isn't he? Sort of dragging players in, pushing away, just really trying to disrupt all the time. So I thought those two players started to make a real difference. And then I don't want to say Wales got it back into the game because I don't think they did. They got that penalty try with the change of bind and bringing down the maul, which saw Byrne got sin-binned. And that gave them a little bit of a foothold. But how well did Ireland defend with 14 men? Wales kept hitting the line again and again, and they sort of probably had more possession in the first 10 minutes in the 22 of Ireland than they did for the whole of the first half. But Ireland stood firm. There was no panic in amongst the team. They were scrambling a little bit, but it was solid, and they were able to win possession back or win penalties. And they just kind of carried on enforcing their defensive dominance. And interestingly, when Byrne came back on, again, he relieved the pressure straight away. I think Wales had an attacking line out, about 6 metres out, and he manages to sort of scramble the ball out of the mole, and away Ireland go again. So, despite his yellow card, I thought he had another fantastic game. But please let me know who you think had great games as well. And whilst you're there in the comments, please like and subscribe. Trying to reach as many rugby fans as possible. I love talking about rugby. I hope you do too. I mean, in terms of other players I thought had good games for Ireland yesterday, Bundy Aki, he just bosses that midfield, doesn't he? He really runs hard, just breaks lines, makes spaces for other people. And I thought he had another really good game. And likewise, Farrell coming in for Hugo Keenan, I think it's his first test start, isn't it? And what a game he had. He looked really good with ball in hand and kicking. He broke the line a few times, and I just thought he moved things around really well, and thoroughly deserved that try he got. So well done to him. And also Gibson Park. I mean, as a scrum half, I think if you saw one of my videos earlier, talking about back-to-back slams for Ireland, saying I think Gibson Park is the best scrum half in the world right now, who's available to play 15s. And he just manages to get the ball away no matter how scrappy it is. So, it may not be clean ball, but he's finding a pass and he's finding his man every time, and he's getting people away. And it's just tremendous to watch. He's just such a busy player. I think, and people just see him as a threat as well, don't they, around the edges? They're not quite too sure how to defend him. So thought he had another great game. And as mentioned earlier, Byrne, despite that yellow card, he came back. Defensively, he was brilliant in the second half. And also, he helped keep the composure like the rest of the team with pushing for that bonus point try after the clock had gone red. I think Ireland went through numerous phases, just kept holding possession, knowing that space is going to open up at some point. and he fired through for that bonus point try. So yeah, another great game from him. But yeah, please let me know who you thought played well. And I think statistically, whilst Ireland had like most of the possession and territory in the first half, things really balanced up in the second half. I think it ended up being sort of around about, for both stats, about 55% to Ireland, 45% to Wales, which is credit to Wales for kind of managing to sort of impose themselves and get back into the game to some degree. But as I say, I don't think Ireland were ever really threatened by Wales. And I think Ireland certainly had some more gears they could have gone through if they needed to. But credit to Wales. And also, I thought what was fascinating is the tackle count for both sides was pretty even. I think it was 190 tackles for Ireland, 194 for Wales. But the interesting thing here, and I think really shows the class between the two teams, is the amount of tackles missed. So Wales had 36 missed tackles. Ireland only had 15. And that's just incredible considering how much possession Wales did have in that second half. I think if Ireland were to look back at that game and be super critical of themselves, I think they'd probably have some question marks about going long at the lineouts. That didn't work a few times. And also maybe discipline. I think there was 12 penalties conceded. Not fantastic. 12 penalties, 2 sin bins. But a lot of those penalties were coming in clumps. So maybe after they'd already given away a penalty and it was at the advantage, they'd perhaps give away another couple. But yeah, that's me being super critical. But overall, I think not Wales. I think Ireland dominated that game without that necessarily being imposed upon the scoreboard all the way through the game. So from an Irish perspective, that was very much job done. Job done for a couple of things. One, try bonus. Well, first of all, win, which I think pretty much everybody was thinking was going to happen. Number 2, try bonus point. Number 3, only 7 points conceded. So I think that takes them to something like, if I quickly do the maths, that's only 24 points they've conceded across the first 3 games. And I think the record is 46, being the lowest points ever conceded in a Six Nations campaign. So that could still be on. And also, that is 11 Six Nation wins in a row for Ireland, which is just fantastic. Going back to, I think it's the 3rd game in the 2022 season. So I think in summary, Ireland will be pleased with that. Their defence stood firm. They soaked up a huge amount of pressure. They dealt with it really, really well. And from a Welsh perspective, I think they'll be happy as well. I think going into that game, nobody gave them a chance, and rightfully so. And excuse me. And off the back of that first half performance, it felt a little bit like the Scotland first half all over again, didn't it? In the early part where they were looking like they might be totally overran. But again, they muscled their way back into the game. They kept some composure. They kept competing. And I think they'll be taking away a lot of hope and a lot of confidence as they go into that French game. Because if the French play as indifferently as they have in their first 2 rounds of games, I think Wales have got a hope there. So I think very much game on from a Welsh point of view. Ireland will be licking their lips, I think, at the prospect of coming to Twickenham. England not looking fantastic. I think they're very beatable by this Ireland side. But let me know what you think. Please just drop a comment. Thanks very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe, trying to reach as many rugby fans as possible. And enjoy the rest of the games, and I'll see you on the next one.